A dance of death in the air. What do you want more, really? Welcome to Caseback Watches. My name is Tim, and in this episode I'm going to show you that book and two great watches by Hanhart, the new Preventor. Hanhart Pioneer Preventor HD12. I came across this watch via their newsletter and I thought, wow, there it is. The iconic old Hanhart logo, the great legibility, a great size of 39mm, which is awesome for many people. And of course the HD12 feature, which is a super tough, hard steel. And so the entire package is great. But before we go into the light box, before we do this in-depth review, little disclaimer, I don't have the bracelet unfortunately because they're short of bracelets. Here right now the watch is sold out on the metal bracelet. So I have two watches on bund straps, right? On leather bund straps to show you. But if you have the chance to grab that watch on a bracelet, do it. Even if you don't like metal bracelets. It's just the better combo, it's just the better package in case you change your mind and then you want to actually wear it on that bracelet, or you want to sell the watch again, then you have the better package when you have the metal and the bund strap together, all right? And now let's do it. Let's check out the Preventor. All right, and here we are with our ensemble. I have the blue dial for you here on that bund strap. See that? Bund strap, and the black dial. And there I removed this leather plate just to give you another look here, right? There you go. All right, let's start with the basic specifications and the components here. So we have a case diameter of 39mm. A length lug to lug of 46. Excuse my hands, by the way. This is leather dye, very hard to rub off. So length of 46. Then we have a height of 10.5 and a lug width of 20mm. So pretty neat, pretty contemporary, nice measurements. Then we have a screw down crown, a sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating on the inside, which works incredibly well, as you can see. Very hard to pull off with a black dial. Very nice. And the watch is waterproof up to 150 meters. Inside now we find a cylinder movement. This is the SW200 with 28,800 beats and a power reserve of 38 hours. It's an automatic movement. And this ensemble here on that leather strap goes now for 995 euros. So if you are, for example, in America, then you have to deduct your VAT of 19% and the calculation is then around 1,000. And before we go into the design, before we go into the dial, let's speak briefly about steel, because this is one of the main features here is a super tough steel, the HD12 steel. And I think you have heard that we measure the hardness of steel in Vickers. And if you take your normal steel 316L, which you find on most watches, then we're speaking about 220 Vickers. This stuff here now has 1,200 Vickers. So it's a super robust material, and this will maintain this neat and clean look here without scratches. And the method behind it is a bit simplified, that they diffuse large quantities of carbon into the material. And I think you've heard about carbon steel, often used for kitchen knives because it's super hard and you can sharpen it a lot more than usual steel. And the benefit compared to plating is that there is a smooth transition from hard to soft in the inside. This is not really a plating, it's a smooth transition that maintains its stability. And so this is one interesting feature. And now let's dive into the design of the watch. Here we have a super legible dial. This applies to the black and the blue one. Super legible, because we are in the genre Flieger, or at least military watch. So we have massive amounts of lume. We have these nice cathedral hands, which were invented, I think, to place more lume onto the hand without cracks in the material. Then we have a very nice and classic minute track, and of course we have the historic Hanhart logo, which really stands out. And that's it with the design. Very pure, very simple, a bit of color there on the second hand there, the red tip, which works fine with both watches here. And again, the coating works exceptionally well on these watches. I've seen black watches here with the reflections all over the place. And now let's examine the case. Brushed, entirely brushed case. See that? Very clean and neat look. Here you have the Caseback, sandblasted, some information. Hanhart, hergestellt in Deutschland, means made in Germany. There you go. Pretty simple crown. There you go. And a leather strap. Feels very good. Feels rich and creamy, if you know what I mean, but has a bit of a smell, a bit of a chemical smell. I don't know why they cannot avoid this. It's doable. All of my straps, for example, don't have this smell because they're fabricated without toxic glues. But this only has a little downside. I think this will go away after a while. And here you have the Bund strap. So the same strap here, but with this, I don't know how to call it, this mattress of leather, which adds to the height of the watch. So you have to see if you like the look. It's very comfortable on the wrist, I can tell you, because it's, of course, softer than a metal case. So very comfortable, and yeah. There you go. All right, let's check out the functionality. We have a very long thread here. I love it. I love it. Really feels precise, feels very, very good. And now you have one position, because this is no ghost position here. You have one position and then you can set the time, hackable movement, and that's all you have to know about this movement. You can hand wind it. Yes, not really necessary, but you can do it. Then you can close it again. And this works just nice, and a very long thread. I need my rounds to close the watch, and of course this benefits the water tightness of 150 meters. So yeah, very happy with that. Very, very happy. And here it is on a 17 centimeter wrist. 17 centimeter wrist. And it's super, super comfortable. Super comfortable, that material on my skin. Just nice. Doesn't feel like a watch, feel like something different, but very, very good, really. I really enjoy this. Okay, let's check out the black dial under broad daylight now. Alright, next part of the video is the book recommendation, and even if you're not really into books, you will love that, I promise. It's called Aces High, A Dance of Death in the Air, and this is the reissue of historic EC comic stories from the 50s, so the golden age of American comic, published by Fantagraphics, great publisher, specialized in comic books, graphic novels, cartoon, you name it. And so here we are in the 50s. We have war stories by George Evans, and they are located in World War I. So the connection to our Hanhart is not 100% because Hanhart gained reputation during World War II. But here you have the foundation of aviation equipment. And the strange thing is, if you grab these stories, these war stories by George Evans in their original form, you will find them relatively cheap looking, relatively sloppy, because 50s printing technology wasn't top notch and the paper often was cheap, and so very disappointing. And this is really a shame, because George Evans, as many others, made their drawings big, that size, really that size, huge sheets of paper, and so you find there a lot of details. And now, the first time in human history, all these details are visible, because this is made with modern printing technology and looks like that. Now really you can value the artistry behind it, the fine line quality. I mean, look at the rendering here. Every detail is neatly rendered with extremely fine lines and with skill, with a sense for proportion and the 3D room for perspective. And in fact, this might look fantastic, but George Evans was seen sort of junior league amongst the comic illustrators, because he didn't do superheroes, which were the big thing in the 50s, at least in America. Superheroes around Batman and Superman and all these characters. And Evans found them, like many other artists, a bit childish, bit stupid, and so he preferred doing these war stories, and some crime stories are also included in this book. And he gained great knowledge about early aviation, and so every detail you see in these stories here is real, is 100% accurate. And so you have the artistry, you have the great perspective, and you have attention to detail to the last percent, really. And so I think this makes a great and really valuable package. So a big recommendation. And because of his knowledge, by the way, George Evans didn't glorify the war here. These are stories before the grim industrialization of war. These are basically fights between a small number of men. And so big recommendation, Aces High by George Evans, A Dance of Death in the Air. You find it on Amazon. I will place links here in the descriptions. They are not affiliated. I don't want to make a buck with that book. I genuinely find it valuable, and I think it's valuable content to present you this book. And there are many others, by the way. This is a series, 50s EC comics, war stories. You find many more of this kind here. Okay, and the next hint here, and the last hint, is a new addition to CasebackWatches.com, the online shop that keeps everything here afloat and independent. I made a new strap myself. That's the reason for my hands, by the way. And this is the Racing Red strap. This time with reduced stitching so that a glorious red can really shine there. Very laborious, very luxurious, absolutely not cheap, I know, but I think it's worth it. So check it out, CasebackWatches.com. All right, and that's all for this episode. Thank you very much for your attention, and until next time.